Good lighting adds so much production value and can help make any camera look better. So before you buy an expensive camera, learn how to light things well and save yourself a fortune. Another telltale sign of an amateur film is for scenes to be too dark, where you just can't see what's going on and the shots just look flat and dull and really uninteresting. So you can use lighting to make your cheap film look much more expensive. It also helps if you don't write a load of exterior night scenes in your films, because these take lots of time and sometimes money to make look good, so avoid them when you are just starting out if you can. First, you can start by just using natural light. Outdoors, if it's sunny, then it's better to put the sun behind your actor. This means they won't be squinting and the sun can give them a nice halo around their head. If it's overcast and cloudy, then although this will give you flatter lighting, it will also make it more consistent. Another tip is to think about the time of day you want to shoot. Now, the best time to make your scenes look better for free is often golden hour. It's that time around sunrise or sunset when everything looks golden with a really nice side light. This is always better than filming at high noon, which gives that very harsh light straight down and can give your actors dark shadows around their eyes. However, that perfect evening light won't last as long as harsh sunlight, so you might have to be quick. If you are indoors and want to just use natural light, then you can try and put your actors near windows and see what a difference that makes. But remember, the weather can change if you are filming for a long period, so the big drawback of using natural light is that you can't control it, and hence it is not consistent. Next, you can start experimenting with a bounce board to reflect some light in different directions. Use a sheet of polystyrene or buy a cheap reflector, and this can make a huge difference to fill in shadows. Moving on to artificial light. Now, you can begin by using household lights to actually get some really good results. If a light is too bright and you want something really subtle, you can try putting tissue paper over it as a diffuser, or bounce a light off a wall and then just adjust the results depending on what you want. Another very cheap lighting solution, which they actually use on some big film productions, is to use a paper lantern, sometimes called a Chinese lantern, with a normal home light bulb inside. This can then be carried around on a pole near the camera to brighten the actors' faces, and it can make a huge difference. We shot most of my short film The Noise just by using this as the main light source, and we made this just with what you can buy at a hardware store: a long cord with a socket, a bulb, a plug for the mains or an extension lead, a pole, and a paper lantern. So definitely give this a go if you want a good budget lighting solution. Next, if you want to buy specific lights which are designed to use for filmmaking, these days most people start with an LED light. Ideally get one that is both dimmable, meaning you can make it brighter or darker, and adjustable between different color temperatures, meaning cooler looking light or warmer looking light. Color temperature is measured in Kelvin and so is written as a number with a K after it. The two main ones you are likely to need are daylight, or 5600 Kelvin, which is cooler looking light, and tungsten, or 3200 Kelvin, which is warmer. Of course, if you're buying lights for filming, you don't have to get an LED light. You can get a more traditional light using a bulb, and although these are often much brighter, they also get much hotter and can't change color temperature, so it just depends on what your priority is. Also, when buying lights, I would ideally go for one that has mains power as well as battery, as if you're shooting a long scene, the light can get dimmer when using the battery and you might not notice until it's too late. You can also change the color of any light further by adding some colored gels, which are pretty cheap to buy. Now, if you want to get professional ones, then CTB, or color temperature blue, will cool tungsten lights down towards daylight, and CTO, or color temperature orange, will warm up daylight colored lights towards tungsten. For The Noise, we only had a tungsten colored light, but we wanted to cool it down to use as moonlight, and so we put CTB gel over it. We also added a cardboard gobo, which is simply any shape added to the front of the light to cast a shadow, and we did this to make it look like the light was coming through window blinds. So you can also get really creative with shadows by using DIY tricks like these with cheap materials to give a nice look to your scene. You can also have fun with lights of different color temperatures in the same scene. By using some warmer lights and some cooler lights, this creates some nice color contrast. You can also accentuate one color temperature more than the other by changing your white balance to different settings and see which one you like the best. If you are doing a scene in a small space and you don't want a light stand in the way, you can also buy flexible LED panels, which are very versatile as you can attach them to walls and ceilings, although these will cost more. It is often good to get a lighting kit of several lights which are the same. Having 2 or 3 lights is useful as you can get some nice results when you are lighting an actor. You see a technique called 3-point lighting used in interviews all the time, but you can also get some nice results using this as a starting point to light actors in your fictional films. For 3-point lighting, you use 3 lights: a key light, a backlight, and a fill light. Your key light is the main light on the actor. It's usually about 45 degrees on one side of their face. For a softer, more flattering look, you can add something like tissue paper or tracing paper in front as a diffuser, and this will remove any harsh shadows. You often get a more interesting cinematic look if you position the camera on the more shadowy side of the face. The backlight or hair light is put behind the subject and makes them look more 3D. It pulls them away from the background. Then the fill light can be added to fill in those shadowy areas that are not covered by the key light. Although this can be done with a reflector, so if you only have 2 lights, I would say the fill light is the least important of the 3. Now, you won't need all these lights for every scene, but sometimes you can work out what you want by setting them up and then turning them off one by one and seeing what you are left with. Depending on what you're shooting, sometimes less is more. If you're doing a horror film, then you probably won't be brightly lighting everything so that it looks like a sitcom. So just experiment based on what you're making, but lighting can be great fun, so enjoy it and see what creative results you can get.